Welcome to the Urban Herald, where we don't just report the news, we dive into the data, we craft the guides, and we bring you the concentrated analysis you really need to understand the bigger picture.
We're the team that provides that shortcut to being truly well-informed.
And today, we are tackling what is, unquestionably the most competitive, diverse, and I think maybe the most historically significant year in the history of interactive entertainment.
We're talking about the Game Awards 2025. We've taken our complete exhaustive guide, all 29 categories, and we've boiled it down into the essential insights.
Right. The goal here is to help you understand what this really unprecedented moment means for the industry and, of course, for you, the consumer.
And this year is just monumental.
Yeah, if you haven't marked your calendar for December 11th, 2025, you should probably do that now. When we started distilling all this data, one number just, jumped right out and set the tone for everything.
It has to be Clair Obscur, Expedition 33.
Absolutely. It didn't just earn high praise, it completely shattered all previous records with an astounding 12 nominations.
And that kind of dominance from, a non-traditional AAA title is so significant. But what's equally important is the competition it's facing.
Yes, not alone at the top.
Not at all. We've got Death Stranding 2, On the Beach, and Ghost of Yōtei right on its heels. Both of them earned 7 high-profile nominations each.
So this isn't just a race between two giants.
No, it's a sprawling battleground. It really demonstrates that critical recognition can come from absolutely anywhere as long as the execution is, flawless.
Okay, so let's unpack all this. Our mission today is to cut through the noise. What fundamentally makes a Game of the Year contender in 2025?
And beyond that, what innovative trends do these, all 29 categories, from accessibility to art direction, what do they reveal about where the medium is heading?
Let's start with that big question. What even is a Game of the Year?
Well, if you look at the history of the Game Awards, it's really transformed its role. It might have started off prioritizing commercial success, maybe?
Sure, sale figures and all that.
Exactly. But it's evolved into the industry's single most celebrated annual event. And the focus has shifted entirely. It's now about recognizing genuine artistic achievement, technical innovation, and of course, cultural impact.
And the sheer volume of categories, 29 of them, that's the proof.
It is. It shows a commitment to acknowledging all the specialized contributions. We're talking about the sound engineer who designs the perfect weapon reload, the writer who crafts a really poignant side quest,
Or the programmer who ensures players with disabilities can engage fully with the game. It's holistic.
Precisely. So to earn a spot in that Game of the Year, or GOTY, race, a title has to be the pinnacle of achievement. It's not just about selling millions of copies anymore.
It's about building a consensus.
A consensus on artistic vision, on pushing technical boundaries, delivering exceptional narrative depth, and critically demonstrating innovation and accessibility. Our analysis of the voting bodies, it's a mix of industry pros and the gaming community, confirms the winner will represent a broad agreement on quality and cultural significance.
And that consensus requirement is why this year's 6 nominees are so fascinating.
Oh, yeah. What's amazing here is how the lineup reflects the industry's maturation. You have these genre-defying games going up against traditional blockbusters and, super specialized simulations.
It's a philosophical melting pot of what gaming excellence can even be.
Exactly. We can break down the 6 nominees based on what kind of excellence they represent.
Okay, let's do a quick rundown. First, we have Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, the record shatterer that's redefining what a turn-based RPG can be.
Then there's Death Stranding 2, On the Beach. This is your pure blockbuster, driven by this powerful artistic identity, this auteur vision.
Right, meaning it's a game where the singular creative fingerprint of its director, Hideo Kojima, is just evident in every single complex, strange, and highly stylized detail.
Couldn't have said it better. Third, you have Donkey Kong Bananza. This represents Nintendo's flagship platforming innovation, that legendary polish, and it's the massive showcase title for the new Switch 2 console.
Number 4, Hades II.
The gold standard for the roguelike genre. That's a type of game where you restart when you die, but you keep some permanent progression, creating this addictive, high-stakes, loop-based gameplay.
And it proves that high-quality, replayable design can compete with the biggest budgets out there.
Fifth is Hollow Knight, Silksong, the culmination of that long anticipated wait. It's the definitive example of the Metroidvania genre.
Games built around those interconnected 2D worlds where you constantly have to backtrack and unlock new abilities to get into previously restricted areas. It's indie excellence defined.
And finally, number 6, Kingdom Come, Deliverance 2. This is the historical simulation RPG that achieves, unmatched authenticity. It challenges the open world status quo by prioritizing realism and consequence above everything else.
It's just a stunning field. You have the complexity of a demanding historical sim sitting right next to a gorgeous hand-drawn Metroidvania.
And a fast-paced roguelike, all of them challenging major cinematic productions. The message this sends is so clear.
Yeah, the industry is prioritizing quality of execution and singularity of vision over just raw budget size. It makes 2025 feel truly democratic.
Okay, so we have to start with the innovation champion. 12 nominations for Clair Obscur. Expedition 33 is it's a seismic event.
And this came from Sandfall Interactive, a relatively small studio.
Exactly. This huge recognition signifies a fundamental shift away from just rewarding tradition. It's moving towards celebrating artistic and mechanical innovation, especially in a genre, the turn-based RPG, that a lot of critics felt had become pretty stagnant.
And the narrative core is what immediately hooks you. It's centered on humanity's final, desperate attempt against this cosmic entity called a paintress.
And the stakes are terrifyingly personal. This entity systematically erases humanity by age groups every single year. The urgency is built on the knowledge that you are Expedition 33 and every single expedition before you has failed.
That prologue is key. It doesn't just tell you the stakes, it shows them to you.
Oh, absolutely. Watching an entire age cohort, your friends, colleagues, just turn to dust is a moment of pure devastating tragedy.
But it avoids melodrama by making that loss so immediate and personal. That narrative gravity is what makes the whole struggle resonate so deeply.
But the real record breaker here, the reason for all the buzz, is the combat engine. We're talking about the reactive, turn-based combat system.
Right. So can you walk us through how this innovation fundamentally changes that classic RPG loop?
Certainly. So traditional turn-based combat is, you select an action and then you just sit back and watch the animation play out. Clair Obscur requires you to be physically engaged at all times. It blends that strategy with real-time action mechanics through QuickTime events or QTEs.
For anyone who doesn't know, QTEs are those brief button prompts that flash on screen, requiring an instantaneous reaction.
Exactly. So when your character attacks, you have to perfectly time a sequence of button presses to maximize your damage output. If you're healing, QTEs dictate how effective that healing is.
So even defensive moves are tied to this.
Even defensive and status effects are governed by these real-time inputs. The combat is just so kinetic, high stress, and rhythmic.
And the parrying system has been universally praised. I've seen that everywhere.
It's the core of that kinetic satisfaction. A successful parry, which means hitting the button in a really tight, specific window, gives you this tremendous visual feedback, a sharp, satisfying crunch in the sound design, and it often grants you huge tactical advantages.
It turns every encounter from just a measurement of stats into a dynamic battle of timing and rhythm.
Exactly. But innovation like that often risks alienating players who struggle with timing or fast reactions.
Yeah, which is why their commitment to accessibility is so brilliant.
It really is. They incorporated 3 distinct difficulty levels, specifically for the timing windows of the QTEs. And, critically, they included a feature parity accessibility option that lets you auto-complete the offensive QuickTime commands.
So players with motor or cognitive disabilities can still get the strategic depth without being locked out by the physical demands.
That is a massive step forward for inclusive design. It's huge.
We also need to talk about the performances. The depth of the ensemble cast is phenomenal, with nominations for Ben Starr, Charlie Cox, and Jennifer English.
The strength is really in the writing, which lets these relationships develop so organically. They use that classic RPG structure of campfire conversations to explore the characters' anxieties, their hopes, their complicated histories.
And by avoiding that overt melodrama, even with world-ending stakes, they created genuine emotional investment. The performances bring this necessary gravitas and subtlety to a high fantasy premise.
And visually, the game looks like nothing else.
It's a masterclass in confident artistic vision over just, brute force polygon count.
Totally. The world balances visual splendor, these lush, beautiful environments, with this dreamlike surreality. You'll encounter twisted architecture that defies gravity and coral reefs that somehow exist kilometers above ground.
This unique aesthetic communicates the cosmic horror themes without relying on typical Gothic or dark imagery. The environments are beautiful, but also unsettling, and they're perfectly integrated into the narrative.
So let's move on to Hideo Kojima's sequel, Death Stranding 2, On the Beach. Now, the original was deeply polarizing.
Oh, for sure. So how did Kojima Productions manage to earn 7 nominations while maintaining that very distinctive, very complex identity?
They listened. They listened to the criticism of the first game's systems. The sequel is demonstrably larger, the world is more visually vibrant, and, crucially, it is significantly more accessible.
So Kojima synthesized his experience into a more confident and assured vision.
Exactly. The game still has all the philosophical depth and surrealist touches of the original, but it offers more engaging, conventional gameplay loops.
So if the first game was almost entirely about traversal and delivery mechanics, the sequel focuses more on action and conflict.
Right. The improvements in combat and stealth are substantial. Where the first game often felt restrictive, the sequel gives you so much more agency and flexibility in how you approach confrontations.
So you have a wider array of tools and environments that encourage genuine tactical choices.
Yes, you can go for silent stealth infiltration, you can engage in frenetic direct combat, you can use long-range elimination tools, or you can blend all three in these really complex hybrid approaches.
And that cinematic flair is integrated right into the mechanics, which I always appreciate.
The time manipulation effects after an elimination are a great example. They slow the action just enough to provide practical assistance. You can survey the scene, plan your next move, while adding this tremendous visual style and excitement.
Which is why the source material highlights its strength in the best action-adventure game category. It's a legitimate, strong action title now.
It is not just a walking simulator with occasional combat.
And of course, narrative ambition is always central to a Kojima project. Themes of connection, temporal displacement, navigating complex human relationships.
And the game elevates these ideas with real nuance. But we have to talk about Troy Baker.
Oh, his return as the antagonist Higgs.
It's pure camp spectacle. He's now wielding a flame-throwing electric guitar. It perfectly encapsulates Kojima's maximalist tendency to blend high-concept existential philosophy with just utterly surreal, over-the-top spectacle.
That blend is the signature, isn't it? While the final act might escalate to this biblical, world-shaking spectacle, the emotional resonance seems to be strongest in Sam's personal, intimate journey.
It is, which justifies its narrative and performance nominations. And we can't overlook the dynamic world design. It's more than just a backdrop. The environment is a central character.
It constantly throws obstacles at you.
Yeah.
Right? Earthquakes, flash floods.
Bushfires, sandstorms, and these aren't just scripted events. They fundamentally alter both your delivery routes and your combat encounters.
So a route you planned yesterday might be completely impossible today.
Exactly. A flood could create a massive canyon, forcing you to adapt your equipment and strategy instantly. This constantly forces these emergent experiences, making the environment a challenging, rewarding, and constantly evolving part of the gameplay.
Okay, now for Ghost of Yōtei. Sucker Punch made a brilliant, really bold strategic move here.
They absolutely did. Instead of just giving us Jinsakai 2.0, they jumped centuries forward and introduced a new protagonist, Atsu.
And she's a compelling, complicated figure driven by a very specific, singular purpose: vengeance.
This decision immediately addresses that common complaint you see about open-world bloat. Atsu's quest to execute 6 specific individuals, the 6 people responsible for destroying her life, is the entire narrative engine.
The genius of the structure is that it's physically written into the gameplay loop.
It is. The hit list is literally displayed on the controller's touchpad, providing a constant, clear, purposeful, and immensely satisfying objective. Critics have been praising this focused design because it gives narrative weight to every activity without forcing you into meaningless side content.
And the combat has also seen some critical refinements. The original was excellent, but it did occasionally suffer from camera positioning issues.
Especially when fighting groups or in tight spaces, yeah, those issues are gone. The sequel introduces superior camera positioning and, crucially, an optional lock-on functionality.
Which immediately addresses those frustrations. It's responsive and fluid, and it maintains that cinematic weight of samurai combat.
And Atsu's arsenal expands significantly on the predecessors.
Right, the dual-wielding katana.
Oh, absolutely. The introduction of those changes the combat rhythm entirely. Her legendary dual katana attack sequences are exactly the glorious over-the-top samurai fantasy that players crave. But it's not mindless button mashing.
There's a strategic importance to weapon selection.
A very sophisticated rock-paper-scissors dynamic between specific weapons and enemy armor types. It forces you to strategize rather than just relying on your quickest blade.
And narratively, Atsu provides a fresh perspective. We see genuine growth and clear, impactful motivations that stop the vengeance storyline from becoming, predictable or hollow.
The source material highlights a particularly affecting storyline involving the supernatural kitsune, the mythological fox spirits, which explores these deep themes of loss and her connection with her mother.
That emotional authenticity earned the game a Best Narrative nomination alongside powerhouses like Clair Obscur.
It successfully blends that historical authenticity with Japanese mythological fantasy.
And finally, the visual design. This is being called a true PS5 Pro showcase.
It looks breathtaking. The detail in the environments, the fluid animation, the gorgeous use of color saturation. Every scene feels like a higher composition. And Sucker Punch wisely retained the exploration philosophy of the original.
Using environmental navigation, the guiding wind, collected songs to direct you without intrusive minimaps or markers.
Yeah, it keeps you immersed. It is one of the year's most visually distinct and successful games, hands down.
So if the Titans showed us the evolution of AAA, this next section, the indie triumphs and genre innovators, this is where the most exciting creativity is thriving. The GOTY race isn't just about money, it's about execution and vision.
And Hades II truly represents the impossible sequel. Supergene Games had to meaningfully improve upon the original Hades, a game that was widely considered near perfect.
And they did it. It's positioned prominently in Best Indie, Best Action, and the overall GOTY category. It's a masterclass in mechanical confidence.
It has to be. For anyone unfamiliar with the genre, roguelikes rely so heavily on tight, responsive mechanics because you're repeating these runs over and over. If the core combat isn't perfect, the whole game fails.
And Hades II is perfect.
It really is. Every weapon feels balanced and distinct, progression systems are intuitive, and new mythological elements are introduced at exactly the right pace. The combat feels infinitely adaptable.
You can construct these incredibly different builds that all remain viable, constantly rewarding strategic experimentation.
And they even made changes that risked alienating players, which to me shows this fantastic confidence in their design philosophy.
You're talking about the dash sprint mechanic.
I am. The original Hades relied on that instantaneous double dash for evasion and repositioning. The sequel shifted to a dash sprint, which is longer and has more commitment. It fundamentally changes the strategic stakes in your movement decisions.
And that was done purely in pursuit of genuine improvement and deeper combat strategy, and it paid off.
It did, and the content value for the price point is just staggering.
Absolutely. It launched as one of the highest-rated games of 2025 on OpenCritic. Reviewers were reporting sinking 40, 60, even 80 hours into the game and still finding new content.
At a modest price point of, what, £19.99 or $24.99, it represents exceptional value and replayability.
Yep.
It proves value doesn't require a $70 price tag.
And the artistic signature is impeccable.
The gorgeous sprite work, the fluid animation, it creates a truly premium, cohesive aesthetic. And Darren Korb's soundtrack, which earned a Best Score nomination, is foundational to that feeling. He expertly blends metal, electronic, and orchestral elements.
It enhances everything from the quiet character moments to the incredibly frenetic boss fights.
Moving on, the release of Hollow Knight. Silksong on September 4th ended a 7-year wait that had truly become a cultural phenomenon. The anticipation was impossibly high.
Yeah, and the sources confirmed that lengthy development time was dedicated to deliberate, careful refinement. The result was a game so polished, it launched simultaneously across an unprecedented number of platforms.
Linux, macOS, Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and Windows. All at once.
The crucial question was, could it possibly live up to those 7 years of elevated expectations?
And the critical response was just overwhelmingly positive. It validated Team Cherry's perfectionist approach.
The major shift is playing as Hornet, the princess protector of Hallinist. How does that change the feel compared to the nameless knight from the original?
Hornet is faster, she's more aggressive, and she's much more focused on verticality and agility. She has a wider array of aggressive combat options and unique traversal abilities, like using Silk to grapple and create platforms.
So it allowed Team Cherry to explore different movement mechanics and thematic concerns.
And it resulted in a fully realized experience that stands entirely on its own. It doesn't just feel like an expansion of the first game.
Its 6 nominations, including GOTY, Best Art Direction, and Best Narrative, confirm that industry recognition.
Visually, that hand-drawn aesthetic just creates a timeless world. The intricate details and expressive animation often surpass games that are technically superior. It just proves that technical fidelity isn't the only metric for visual excellence.
And at $14.99 or $14.99, it delivers this enormous, emotionally rich adventure for almost half the price of the other GOTY contenders.
Now we pivot back to historical simulation. If you, the listener, prioritize depth, consequence, and realism, Kingdom Come. Deliverance the Second is your champion. It places you in 15th century Bohemia with an unmatched commitment to historical accuracy.
The level of research Warhorse Studios poured into this game is just obsessive.
Everything is historically accurate, from the dialogue, cadence, and environment design down to complex biological needs. Henry, the protagonist, needs to eat, sleep, maintain his hygiene, and NPCs remember your actions and reputation.
But the danger with uncompromising realism is that it can become punishing tedium, where managing basic needs is frustrating, not fun. Did the sequel successfully balance that?
That was the core design challenge, and yes, they absolutely succeeded. The sequel balances realism with playability.
So the systems, like hunger and hygiene, matter because they impact your stats and social interactions,
Oh.
but they don't dominate every waking moment.
Right, they complement the role-playing. They force genuine immersion rather than frustrating you with repetitive survival loops, and manages to feel deep without feeling oppressive.
And the narrative is vastly improved over the predecessor.
Substantially better. It weaves together political intrigue, revenge, romance, moral mysteries over hundreds of hours. Tom McKay and Luke Dale reprise their roles, delivering fantastic voice work.
And crucially, the dialogue incorporates well-placed, authentic humor that prevents the game from getting too serious or dry.
It maintains engagement over its massive runtime, and the consequence-driven simulation is key to its depth.
Every action has weight.
It does. If you pursue certain revenge quests, it locks off opportunities for political alliances elsewhere. If you rush social encounters while Henry is tired or unkempt, the dialogue options available to you will be negative. You are genuinely forced to roleplay.
And for those who love deep mechanics, the swordplay here is unmatched.
It is genuinely sophisticated. It's a deep dive into medieval sword fighting, requiring directional blocking, ripostes, and these master strikes that are difficult to execute but incredibly satisfying. It's a demanding system that rewards mastery.
Okay, and finally, rounding out the GOTY nominees, we have Nintendo's flagship Switch 2 title, Donkey Kong Bananza. It immediately distinguished itself by embracing a truly revolutionary concept for the platformer genre.
Destruction-based platforming.
Which is a huge shift from the typical possession mechanics we see in, say, a Mario title.
It's built fundamentally around Donkey Kong's power. Every level surface, every wall, every obstacle exists to be broken and manipulated. Donkey Kong isn't just navigating the world, he is systematically dismantling it to create new paths.
That sounds like it encourages endless replayability.
It absolutely does. The level design dares you to break the established rules. You might navigate a cave straightforwardly in 5 minutes, or you might spend an hour punching through structurally weak walls, burrowing underground, and creating entirely new routes to collect hidden secrets.
And we also get some of that classic Nintendo charm with the transformations.
Yes, the new banana transformations are fantastic. The zebra Bananza grants incredible speed. The ostrich Bananza offers a useful gliding mechanic. And crucially, unlike some previous Nintendo titles, these transformations remain useful throughout the entire game.
So experimentation is constantly incentivized.
Yeah.
And Pauline provides musical accompaniment, which is a great touch.
It is. As a showcase title, the visuals are stunning. It truly shows what the Switch 2 hardware can do. Detailed environments, expressive character animations, all while maintaining that buttery smooth Nintendo frame rate. With the 20-hour campaign of densely packed content, it's excellent value.
Okay, now we transition to where the industry's direction is truly revealed. The Game Awards aren't just about the game of the year. These specialized categories show us the commitment to inclusive design, specialized storytelling, and genre mastery. This is where it gets really analytical.
And the narrative category is a testament to gaming's emergence as a sophisticated storytelling medium. You see the big contenders, Clair Obscur, Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yōtei, Kingdom Come Dell, representing these epic, world-changing narratives.
But sophistication is also found in games that prioritize intimacy over spectacle. And that's where Lost Records, Bloom and Rage really shines.
Lost Records earned its recognition for its deeply affecting and relatable portrayal of friendship and the fragile nature of memory. It uses this unique mechanic with interactive flashbacks to explore how past, often traumatic, events shape present relationships.
So it creates high emotional stakes with small, intimate character moments.
Right. It resonates powerfully with players who prioritize character-driven intimacy over world-ending scenarios. It proves that the size of the conflict doesn't determine the depth of the storytelling.
A crucial reminder that narrative excellence isn't just about the budget for big cinematic sequences.
And this next category highlights the most essential maturation trend in the industry, the commitment to inclusive design. The goal is feature parity.
Meaning ensuring disabled players can experience the same core gameplay loop and level of challenge as everyone else without simplification.
Assassin's Creed Shadows made huge strides in vision accessibility.
How so?
It included comprehensive features like customizable color filters, adjustable UI elements, and really important audio cues that can replace visual indicators for things like enemy detection or puzzle solutions. These are often game changers for players with low vision or color blindness.
But the critical darling here, the one setting a new standard for informational access, is South of Midnight.
South of Midnight received immense praise for its comprehensive subtitle system, which specifically targets deaf and hard-of-hearing players. It goes way beyond just captioning dialogue.
What else does it do?
The system includes directional indicators telling you exactly where the source of a sound originated, precise speaker identification, and crucial environmental sound descriptions.
So if a monster is wrestling in the bushes to your left, the subtitle will indicate that information clearly and directionally.
Precisely. This means deaf or hard-of-hearing players get equivalent informational input to hearing players, which is critical in games where audio cues are central to spatial awareness and combat readiness. It's a new gold standard for AAA inclusive design.
The RPG category is just sprawling this year.
It really is. It reflects the genre's expansion, from deep, character-driven experiences to high-octane action hunting. The nominees show that diversity. Avowed, Clair Obscur, Kingdom Come 2, The Outer Worlds 2, and Monster Hunter Wilds.
So let's look at the action side. Monster Hunter Wilds.
It's the undisputed pinnacle of the hunting action RPG. It successfully integrated the series' best, deeply complex combat mechanics with several new accessibility points to draw in newcomers, but without sacrificing the demanding nature veterans expect.
What's the key mechanical innovation in Wilds?
It's focus mode, a brilliant new targeting system that allows for heightened awareness during combat. Focus mode lets you identify dynamic wounds on monsters in real time.
And landing critical hits on those wounds creates new tactical opportunities.
Exactly. It encourages precision and strategic exploitation of monster vulnerabilities. It makes the combat feel more targeted and rewarding than previous entries.
Then we have the refined space exploration and humor of the Outer Worlds 2.
This sequel listened carefully to the feedback on the first game. The most significant improvement is the combat system itself. It's genuinely enjoyable now. Expanded weapon variety, new mobility options, and a much more compelling loot system.
So player choices genuinely affect the narrative outcomes, compelling multiple playthroughs.
They do. And finally, you have Obsidian's Avowed, which draws from that rich Pillars of Eternity universe.
A classic Obsidian experience.
A first-person fantasy RPG noted for truly exceptional dialogue writing and rich world building. And the combat system feels smooth and competent, emphasizing a blend of melee and spellcasting.
How does the spellcasting stand out?
It encourages creative combinations. You can quickly swap between weapons, shields, and various magical abilities, chaining effects together. The system rewards experimentation and tactical resource management, making even standard encounters feel engaging.
Okay, let's talk about the best independent game category. It's always a contentious one.
It is. When high-profile, critically acclaimed titles like Clair Obscur, Hades II, and Silksong are nominated, there's always this internal debate over whether they really qualify as indie by budget or team size.
But the category's purpose is to celebrate that tremendous critical acclaim from smaller studios. So let's look at the true indie voices outside the GOTY race. Ball X Pit, for instance.
Ball X Pit is an extremely experimental, physics-based puzzler. It's defined by one bold design choice: the complete absence of tutorials.
So it actively encourages discovery through experimentation.
It does. It's not for every player, but for those who appreciate unorthodox, self-guided design, it offers remarkable depth and satisfaction. It's a pure showcase of creative freedom.
And Blueprints, which secured nominations in both the main and debut indie categories.
Blueprints tells an affecting, atmospheric vampire story. The core conflict isn't external, it's internal. You have to manage your vampiric nature, the need for sustenance, against the need to maintain genuine human connections.
Which creates this constant, compelling thematic tension.
It elevates it beyond a simple stealth game into something deeply emotional and narrative-focused.
And in the Best Debut Indie category, we have to highlight Despelote.
Despelote is all about South American street football culture. It focuses on community, style, and creativity over simulation accuracy. It's a vibrant, stylized game that celebrates the role of football in building cultural identity and community spirit.
It proves that new voices can bring incredibly powerful, localized, and unique perspectives to the global gaming audience.
Okay, now for some quick hits on other key categories that define the industry's direction.
Let's start with Best Multiplayer.
Split Fiction. This is the latest cooperative masterpiece from Hazelight Studios, who are renowned for their dedicated co-op experiences.
The narrative premise sounds wild.
It is. Two authors are trapped in a machine experiencing their own conflicting fictional worlds. This justifies the wildly varied gameplay structure. You and your partner transition seamlessly from sci-fi shooting to fantasy RPG segments to rhythm-based musical sequences.
And asymmetric combat where your abilities are completely different.
It requires genuine coordination and communication. It's designed explicitly to reward innovative cooperative mechanics.
In Best Game Adaptation, the conversation is pretty much dominated by The Last of Us Season 2.
HBO's adaptation continues its critical success. It maintains absolute fidelity to the emotional core of the source material while making smart, necessary changes for the media. Critics are suggesting it matches or even exceeds the quality of the groundbreaking first season.
Which further cements gaming's cultural status as serious source material for major television.
And inevitably, the single biggest anticipated title in the industry, most anticipated game. Grand Theft Auto VI.
It dominates the category.
Absolutely unprecedented hype. Rockstar's reputation for technical achievement, world simulation, and sharp satirical storytelling creates an expectation that few franchises could ever sustain. The anticipation is so high, its release is universally expected to shatter every existing sales record, regardless of the critical reception.
Finally, Best Art Direction, which celebrates visual distinction regardless of technical fidelity.
This category beautifully highlights the philosophical contrast in artistic excellence. You have the hand-drawn, intricate, timeless aesthetic of Hollow Knight, Silksong,
whose style feels expressive and immortal, competing directly against the cutting-edge technical polish and surrealist vision of Death Stranding 2.
and the unique visual surreality of Clair Obscur. It proves that great artistry truly transcends technological trends.
So we've broken down the titans, the innovators, the specialized categories. What does this comprehensive deep dive mean for you, the learner, deciding which titles truly deserve your investment?
Well, you need to assess your gaming personality based on this analysis. If you're seeking innovative, high-kinetic, turn-based RPG combat and truly exceptional, intimate storytelling, Clair Obscur is your essential purchase.
And if you crave cinematic action, philosophical depth, and the unique flavor of an auteur vision, then Death Stranding 2 is critical.
For players who prioritize high-quality mechanical perfection, infinite replayability, and excellent value, the rogue-like quality of Hades II at its accessible £19.99 or $24.99 price point is the best choice.
And if you demand historical simulation depth, consequence, and sophisticated swordplay mechanics, Kingdom Come: Deliverance II is currently unmatched in the market.
We do need to talk about value for money, which is a key decision matrix. Most major AAA titles retail between, say, £49.99 and £69.99. They offer a wide range of playtime, sometimes 20 hours, sometimes over 100.
However, we have to emphasize that value extends far beyond simple playtime hours.
Absolutely. An emotionally resonant 15-hour narrative experience, maybe like the focused quest structure of Ghost of Yōtei, can provide more lasting value and cultural impact than a repetitive 100-hour open-world checklist. Quality of time outweighs mere quantity of hours.
Now for the most dangerous segment. The predictions based on the patterns and critical consensus we've analyzed from all the source material.
Predicting Game of the Year is difficult, but the data does point heavily in one direction. Historically, a game that demonstrates groundbreaking innovation and achieves massive cross-category recognition tends to win.
So, Clair Obscur.
Clair Obscur. Expedition 33 seems the most likely victor, purely based on its record 12 nominations and the broad critical consensus for its innovation in a traditional genre.
But what are the credible dark horses who could pull an upset?
Hades II is a serious threat. Its mechanical perfection and its success as an unprecedented sequel could capture the imagination of voters who prioritize polished gameplay loops. Or Death Stranding 2 could win if voters favor Hideo Kojima's enduring reputation and just the sheer, overwhelming spectacle of the production.
And for the specialized categories?
Best Narrative is a tough fight. It's likely between Clair Obscur for its personal stakes and Kingdom Come 2 for its historical depth. Best RPG is similarly challenging, with those two fighting for the top spot.
But Monster Hunter Wilds could be a dark horse there.
It could, if voters appreciate its blend of dynamic wounds and combat refinement.
And the independent crown.
If the voting criteria successfully separate the budget concerns of Clair Obscur and Hades II from that pure indie spirit Hollow Knight, Silksong is the obvious choice.
And for best multiplayer.
Our pick is Split Fiction, purely based on its commitment to unique, cooperative mechanics that force genuine interaction and communication between players.
So our analysis today really confirms the extraordinary depth, diversity, and creative vision of gaming in 2025.
Yeah, whether you're looking for cinematic spectacle, historical authenticity, platforming innovation, or deeply intimate narrative experiences, this year's slate demonstrates a baseline excellence that warrants exploration across every single category.
Every nominated title, regardless of budget or genre, has earned its recognition through demonstrated quality and innovation. Our deep dive provides that actionable intelligence you need to align your purchasing decisions with your personal preferences and time commitment.
Before we sign off, let's leave you with one final thought that builds on the analysis of these specialized categories. The fierce competition we see in the Games for Impact award titles addressing serious social or cultural themes, like South of Midnight's accessibility focus or Despelot's cultural commentary, suggests a rising trend.
A trend where gaming is increasingly positioned not just as entertainment, but as a powerful, complex medium for storytelling and social commentary. The question we have to ask now is, how will this rising trend, where games are valued just as much for their cultural resonance as they are for technical excellence, influence the very definition of Game of the Year 5 years from now?
That's the kind of complex current we'll continue to monitor here as part of the team at the Urban Herald.
Thank you for joining us for this extensive deep dive into the Game Awards 2025 nominees. We encourage you to explore the full guide before the ceremony on December 11, 2025. We'll see you next time.